Sir, would you please introduce me the context when you started the International Anthropological Research Journal, the prestigious journal
Yes.
started by you, Oriental Anthropologist?
Yes. I would be happy to do so. Actually, this is the latest copy of the journal, the last copy, the fresh copy. Oriental Anthropology. See, the idea of bringing out a journal, it came first of all in my mind in 1984.
Wow, long back.
Long back. The Indian Science Congress was held in Ranchi. That Congress, if you see the list of the Congresses in 1984, it was the time of Mrs. Indira Gandhi. That was the second time that it was taking place in the state of Bihar. Then it was Bihar, not Jharkhand. And first time in Ranchi. Until now, only the time, the second time it has not been in Ranchi. And Professor Vidyarthi was actively, because he was professor of anthropology, Ranchi University, so one of the part. So he was in charge of the publication of the souvenir.
Okay.
The press where the souvenir was being published. In the same press, if you read about Professor Vidyarthi, you will find that for 27 years he had run a very successful research journal. It was known as Journal of Social Research for 27 years. After his death, it all went off. Thereafter, no publication. So I was just reading the proof of the souvenir. At that time, a research journal came to me. And I saw LP Vidyarthi, editor, associate editor, Ken Sahay and Makhan Jha. They were all in Ranchi University Anthropology Department. And I wished if my name could also be there, Vijoy S.Sahay. That was only a wish. But then it had sufficiently sown the seeds of a journal that I should have a voice of my own, whether people like it or not like it. I don't bother. But I must have a voice of my own in anthropology, for which I shall be responsible. This matured in 1988. Then immediately some research scholars were there with me. 5 of them volunteered to give me 5,000, to give not me, to make a subscription, 5,000 each. But I never took the money from them. I said, okay, when the final thing is done, then we'll take. Why? Because I met because I worked with Vidyarthi for 15 years. So in those days, whosoever the senior anthropologists of the country, they were there, they knew me well because everybody came to Vidyarthi and Vidyarthi introduced me. So I met Professor Bhaumik, Professor A.K. Danda, and several others. And I requested them and told them that, look, I'm going to bring out a journal. I want you to be the member of the advisory board. They happily agreed. But one thing, Professor Danda, when he was director of Anthropological Survey of India, I'd gone to Calcutta. I met him and told him. He very happily agreed. Even today, even now, he likes me very much. Whenever we meet, he loves me very much. So I told him. Then he said, well, Dr. Sahay, you will be able to bring out 1 or 2 issues of the journal. How will you sustain? Yes, this was a problem, because it was not just like vegetable that I go to the market and sell it and get the money back. You have to have push sale, and then gradually it goes to, then you can establish. So for this reason, I said that no. Somebody told me that why not you form a society? Under the banner of the society, if you bring out the journal, then after 3 years or so, you can apply for some financial help to the government. It appealed to me. We just prepared a bylaws in Ranchi with my research scholars. And the name of the society was Institute of Cultural and Social Research, Ranchi. We applied for this registration. Bihar, then it was Bihar. Corruption was at its height. Can you imagine? In the office of society, and they told me, my people went there, my sister, to give 40,000 in bribe. 40,000 in bribe to get the society registered. Oh my God. Hardly we could arrange a 25,000 rupees from the Cisco. How could I give? Lastly, went on negotiation for years. Then finally they came that 10,000 will do okay.
So I said, okay, took how many years? Negotiation took how long?
88, we started 93.
Oh, 5 years.
Then, yes. They didn't agree, and I didn't want to start the journal before, because how could I sustain in 25? Hardly I could bring out 2 issues, that's all. Third issue, how could I? So, and we had seen a number of people. K. Sahay had started anthropological, visual anthropology bulletin. Makhan Jha had started. They all, after two, 3 issues or 4 issues, they went off the publication. That thing I didn't want. So I wanted, okay, if the government has, I will take them. 93, they agreed. But at the same 93, I appeared for the Allahabad University and I went there. So this plan which was made in Ranchi, I couldn't. But as soon as I went to Allahabad, I found that things were more congenial there. It was better than the state of Bihar. Allahabad University was itself a very good and sincere research scholars were there. And will you believe we got the society registered in 500 rupees, not bribe. Wow. Here it is. This emblem is Oriental Institute of Cultural and Social Research, Allahabad. Instead of Ranchi, the same bylaws, Allahabad. I got it registered in 500 rupees.
So their bribe was little?
No, I didn't have to give any bribe. The fee was there, 500 rupees or something. So in that it worked out.
Okay, no bribe issue at all.
Oh, no bribe. But the second thing problem was that I wanted beforehand the title, the Oriental Anthropologist, which I had. You have been in Anthropological Survey of India for some time, as far as I remember. You must be knowing Gautam Bera. Do you know? Have you heard? Gautam Bera?
No, not yet, sir.
Achha, he is retired from Anthropological Survey of India only. Recently, he was my student, gold medalist. Very good student he was. Now, he was posted in Nagpur. And in 1990, I was going to Bombay to attend a conference, and from there I was returning. He told me to stay for a day at least, because we were corresponding about the name of the journal, what should be the name of the journal. We had selected a lot of names. I stopped at Nagpur. In the Seminary Hill in Nagpur, there is Anthropological Survey of India. He took me there. I stayed there 2 days. And there we decided, we chose this title, Oriental Anthropologist. But then this title was to be registered in the Registrar Newspapers of India, in Delhi, in Arkepuram, because so that nobody can take this title. And that is a very long process. You have to prepare the things, apply it to the deputy commissioner, and he will send it to all this process. This also started in Allahabad. 2 times it so happened that you have to suggest some more names. First name, the Oriental Anthropologist. Then a number of names just for, it is the rule that when you apply, then you give some alternative names also. Or 2 times in Delhi, Arkepuram office, they gave me this other title, not the Oriental Anthropologist. But Oriental Anthropologist had come to our heart. Finally, in 2000, September or October, they gave me the letter that Oriental Anthropologist has been registered. And 2001 was there. In Allahabad, you must have heard about the Kumbh Mela.
Kumbh Mela, yeah, very famous.
Yeah, and 24 of my friends abroad, from South Africa, from America, from Canada, from Australia, they were all to visit the Kumbh at my invitation, of course. Largest group was from Canada, because my friend, who is also member of the editorial board now, Professor Matthew Boyward, he came with a batch of students also to study the Kumbh. I took a batch of students from Allahabad University. We stayed for 1.5 months in the Kumbh in January. And in the Kumbh also, the most auspicious day is known as Mauni Amavasya. Amavasya, that is no moon night, and Mauni means silent. So Mauni Amavasya day in the library of the anthropological, Allahabad University Central Library, I released the first issue of the journal. Still, I have a copy of it with me. And you'll be surprised to know that how did I get, I could manage only 15,000 rupees, because that team which I had prepared in Ranchi, they were not there. New team was there. One of my research scholars, who is now a reader, associate professor in sociology now in Uttar Pradesh Government College, she contributed 7,000 rupees. Another my student, who is now Deputy Commissioner, Sales Tax, Noida, C.P. Mishra, he contributed 5,000 rupees, and I contributed 5,000 rupees. And this is how we brought out the first issue. I was lucky in the sense that first issue I published 1,000 copies. And then I used to send it to all over the country, whomsoever I knew. I didn't have even the money to post it by postage, because 100 rupees for foreign, it was in those days, it was they charged. So somebody was going to Delhi, and I gave those 12 or 13 copies of to the professors in Delhi University. Vinay Srivastava, who happened to be my very good friend, I sent to them. One of the publishers from Delhi, he saw it and wrote a letter to me that we have seen the Oriental Anthropologist. We would be interested to publish, one publisher and distributor they wanted to be. Well, there is in Hindi, there is a proverb in English, a blind man, what does he like? The eyes. So I could publish, but I can't republish. I couldn't republish again. I had to beg money from somewhere. And it was very difficult to distribute it, through the postage. So I was so happy that, oh, fine. Somebody has. I was going to London to attend a conference. In Delhi, I was there for visa. I met the publisher, signed the contract, and this is how the started. From one publisher to another. Prince India, they were also very good. But then I wanted it to be published by some international publisher. So I contacted the Sage. Would they be interested? They were very much interested. And for 6 months, I suppose I must have negotiated with the Sage 4 times. I must have visited their office in New Delhi, Mohan State, and a lot of correspondence, because they require a lot of documents, before all these things, Finally, it was signed. For next 10 years, they will be publishing. Now they will be publishing forever. And Sage, I don't know whether you know it or not, it is from Washington, Sarah and George. These wife, husband, in 1954 or 64, they had started in Washington. So its head office is Washington. And they are a very good publisher. And I'm very much satisfied. They are publishing my journal very well. I have already given the rest of the articles for the next issue. I have already sent it they'll be publishing. And now in my editorial, I consider my voice. People may contradict it. People may react to it. I invite them. But what I think correct in anthropology, not as a practicing anthropologist, not as any professor of anthropology, not simply as an anthropologist, what I think about any issue, I write. That gives me satisfaction that at least I have done my work. I've written some of the very, very controversial editorials also, because in one of my editorials 2 years back, I wrote, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose must have been killed by the Japanese. You can, if you want, I can send you that in your WhatsApp or in your email.
Yeah, I would like to see that.
I'll send you the things, So this is all about the Oriental anthropologist. And now it will be, even when I die out, no problem. My second line is already there. A lot of people are engaged now. We shall be making a trust of it. And it will continue, even if I'm no more. No problem. That's I'm ensuring.
How do you see the major focus of this Oriental anthropologist? What you want to present to the society and what exactly you want to accomplish through this International Anthropology Research Journal?
See, first of all, I write editorial. Even some of my editorial board members, if they want to write something, I invite them to write. I receive articles in every branch of anthropology from different parts of the world. We publish social cultural articles. We publish biological anthropological articles. We also have published so many your archaeological anthropology practical articles. And as far as linguistic anthropology, you know it very well that in India there are very few people. So I suppose that last 20 years, it has completed now 20 years. Not more than 2 or 3 articles in the past issues on linguistics have been contributed. But this journal editorial is only mine. Editorial is my voice. The rest, the scholars, whatever they write, everything is set here. Now people don't send it to me directly. They go to the portal of the SAGE. They submit online. Online it goes to the reviewers. Online it comes, So it is for all the researchers in anthropology, not only for me. I don't want to give any particular message. Well, because in the it has been written here that the opinions given in the article, author is responsible, not me. So I publish. Because I remember one of the anthropologists from Pakistan, quite some time back, no, 6, 7 years back, she wrote to me in my email that she wants to publish an article which she's afraid to publish in Pakistan. I said, I don't mind. It is your view. My journal is here. I published it. So this journal is not only for me or my yes, I had an academic dream, for that I published. I don't want to give any man. It is the people, it is the anthropologists, the researchers, the genuine researchers. In any branch of anthropology they write, it is for them, not exclusively for me. Yes.
That's wonderful. Sir, would you please tell me the importance of anthropological theories in understanding human nature and human condition?
Well, first of all, importance of anthropological theory.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
First part. Second, human and human nature, etc. Well, anything in anthropology is for the man, for the human. Because anthropology studies all aspects of man of all time and space. So whatever we do in anthropology, that is for the human. First of all, it has to be taken into. Now, anthropological theories. Yes. I don't have right now the journal in my hand here. That must be in my Almira. I've written something about it also in past also and published. Any scientific discipline, in any scientific discipline, if new theories, new concepts, new hypotheses are not added, the discipline will become stagnant. The discipline will cease to grow. The discipline would become sterile. So anthropology is a scientific discipline. It's another thing that the postmodernist, they say that anthropology cannot be a science. I don't want to go into it right now. I don't want to go the debate into that, postmodernism and modernism, etc. If you ask me, I'll go in, no problem. But then, anthropology is considered a scientific discipline. It follows the scientific method of study. So it is scientific. So it's a science, let us accept it. Radcliffe Brown accepted it as a science and all the. So there has to be always development gradually. Some new theories, some new concepts, some new hypotheses should be added to the discipline. Then the discipline grows. That's the tragedy today with Indian anthropology. It's a great tragedy. See, from evolutionism to functionalism, to structure functionalism, to diffusionism, to culture personality, to this and that. Slowly it has developed. And now today we have human materialism, and a lot of things are there in anthropology. A lot of concepts are there. Then we say that, yes, this is that. So theory is needed in any discipline, not only anthropology. There has to be in economics, in psychology, in sociology, in chemistry, in physics, in every natural and every social science has its own theories. And that is how the development with the theory, the discipline grows. If you look into the history of anthropology, there was no theory earlier. You will be surprised to know that when the anthropology was not taught in a university, in Europe, people did not define anthropology. Anthropology word had come, but there was no definition of anthropology. Instead, people defined anthropologists. And anthropologists were those who made a gossip about themselves. This is what the definition was there. I can explain very well. And I have explained in my writing also why such a definition for anthropologists was given in Europe, particularly. There was no definition of anthropology, but they defined anthropologists. They said anthropologists are those who make gossip about themselves. There was a reason behind it. Sarcastically, it appears to be sarcastic remark, but anthropology should not be disappointed. There is a reply for this also. So, first started, they saw the culture. When Columbus discovered 1492 America, James Cook discovered Australia and Tasmania and all. So many people, Papua New Guinea, Africa, interior parts of Africa, they found these Europeans, they found that it was absolutely a contrast of the European culture. But they had also a culture. They might be moving naked in the jungle. They might be wearing no dress. That's a different thing, They might have the poorest technology of hunting and gathering and all. And Europe had passed through the Industrial Revolution. So on the one hand, the most technologically advanced society was there. And on the other hand, these Papua New Guinea, Australian aborigines, and the First Nation of USA and Canada, etc., the American Indian, what we call, they were at the lowest stage of technological development with their bows and arrows and spears only. Okay? So this was a contrast. Still, These so-called savage people had their culture. They had their family. They had their marriage. They had their kinship. They had their own belief, religious beliefs and customs, So they had also a culture. Europeans also had a culture. There was a contrast. Okay. Those people, Taylor, Morgan, Adolf Bastian, Maclennan, there were a number of Europeans, in different countries. They started thinking how this culture evolved. So came evolution. Okay. Well, after evolution, they called, diffusion comes. There is a reason. The failure to explain something is the cause for the emergence of the another. Then comes structuralism, then comes structure function, then comes Claude-Levis structuralism, then comes culture personality, then comes ecological anthropology, then ethics, so many concepts, cultural relativism, empathizing with the people. And this is how the anthropology has today progressed. And we say that, yes, anthropology is a science, it has a theory. But suppose that from today onwards, no concept is added, this subject will become sterile, this will become stagnant, and this will not grow. So there is a need of anthropological theory. Any study should ultimately try to find out if it can generate some hypothesis. The hypothesis, if proved by others, it becomes a concept. And in course of time, it becomes a theory. It's a social science law. Vidyarthi made, sacred complex, nature, man is spirit complex. So many works have been done on these things. Earlier, it was just his hypothesis. Later, it became a concept. And maybe that one day it becomes a theory also. Maybe. I'm not sure. So this is how any scientific discipline grows. So there is a great use of theory, not only in anthropology, but in every scientific discipline, be it chemistry, be it physics, bioscience, anything. It's my conception. It's my belief. So anthropological theory is a must. And since anthropology studies man, well, botany, if they study anything, they come in biological science only. Because botany, zoology is a biological science. So there must be some theories in biological science. Darwin's theory is biological sciences there. Darwin, Lamarck, they're all biological sciences. So I don't have much idea about physics, but this atom, nuclear theory, this is the theories of the physics, theory of gravitation, and so many things, Newton. So any discipline has theory. Likewise, anthropology has theories, and this is a very good thing. It will be concerned with man and man only, because anthropology studies man. Whether this society and culture, the differences and similarities, I noted differences and similarities between cultures. Europeans also have culture. Papua New Guineans. In Papua New Guinea, still to this day, the cannibals are there. It is to be noted. The cannibals are there. Those who eat human flesh. My friend George Mala has worked there, and he has reported it to me. But they have a culture, both. And there are certain cultural similarities. There are cultural contrast also. What is the cause of this similarity and difference? This is what anthropologists do. And in this effort only, be it theory of evolutionism, neo-evolutionism, diffusionism have emerged. Yes, ask me.
Yeah, sir, would you please share your ideas on anthropological theory in India? The condition of anthropology. Is there any theories from?
Very pessimistic.
Sir.
Very pessimistic. Should I continue?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Very pessimistic. Why?
Why do you say, sir? Why do you say so?
Very pessimistic. Yes. That's the tragedy of Indian anthropology. The Indian anthropologists only shout for this thing and that thing. This is not being done. This is not being done. And they are all fighting and all these things, instead of doing genuine work, I'm sorry to say this thing. See, anthropology started 100 years before the teaching of anthropology in India. You know it very well, in Calcutta University. But the nature of anthropological researches began in 1784. 1784, more than 200 years, with the establishment of the Royal Asiatic Society of Bengal in Kolkata. Now Kolkata. You go to Park Street. One Park Street is Asiatic Society. Now it has changed. Earlier it was, when it was founded, the Royal Asiatic Society of Bengal. From then onwards, the researches of anthropological nature has been coming up. There are more than 45 universities today where the teaching and research of anthropology is being imparted. In every state, there are a number of research institutions related with social science and tribal studies and this and that, where people are publishing books and articles and research is going on. And I have attended some of the international congresses. I find India is represented by a very large contingent of scholars attending the conferences. But can anybody respond to me or tell me, other than only 4 concepts, 2 of Srinivas and 2 of Vidyarthi? Everybody knows. Srinivas, Sanskritization and dominant caste. And Vidyarthi, nature, man, spirit complex and sacred complex. I don't know. Sorry, I can tell you even the threadbare. Where do they come from? Vidyarthi's concept come from the Chicago School of Anthropology. M.N. Srinivas, the student of Radcliffe Brown, so impact of British social anthropology. That's a different thing. But at least on the study of the Indian tribal caste, in case of Srinivas caste, in case of Vidyarthi tribe, caste also, sacred complex is with caste. So in the study of Indian caste and tribe, only these 4 concepts. Other than these 4 concepts, can any anthropologist in the country tell me, is there any concept worth the name added in Indian anthropology? Absolutely not. Is not it a sad affair? We are adding thousands and thousands of books in anthropology today. Thousands and thousands of articles are being written for the promotion, from assistant professor to associate professor, from associate, we have to show that we've written so many articles and this and that, spurious journals have emerged, you just pay money, 5,000 to 10,000 rupees, or any such journal will publish your article. This is the state of affair of anthropological researches in the country. And why should I be happy with this? Can anybody tell me on earth that Orient anthropologist, anybody has given even a single dollar or single rupee? No. But I can tell you the name of the journals, which I don't want to reveal. Just pay 5,000 rupees and give them the rubbish thing. They will just polish it with Sanskrit and publish it. This is what is going on in anthropology. Instead of all these things, this is what is the state of affair in anthropology. And above all,
Wow.
Above all, the more thing I want to say about the status of, sorry. This is very important. All the theories in anthropology today, from evolutionism to postmodernism, Dr. Pedarattaiah, they have all 90% and more. Oh, sorry, my pet is shouting. Let me open the door and it should go out.
Yeah, it must be.
Oh. Sorry.
Thanks, sir.
All the theories, 90% plus, have emerged out of the study of the so-called savage or so-called primitive societies. Be it Morgan or Bastian or McLennan or Radcliffe Brown or Evans Pritchard or Mead Samoa or Ruth Benedict, you know, any name you take, Franz Boas, Malinowski, Trobriand. So all these theories existing today in anthropology, more than 90% have emerged out of the study of the so-called savage or the primitive people, or what we call today indigenous population. Number one. Number two, if you read Marvin Harris' Rise of Anthropological Theory, in the very first chapter, what I'm saying has been said by him in different words, that all the anthropological theories are the products of only one thing: to find out the causal explanation of the similarities and differences between cultures. Why the cultures differ and why the similarities are found. All the theories are the products of this. Marvin Harris also says. After having said this, am I audible? Hello? Hello? Am I audible? Because you are not audible, only visible. Hello? I can see you now. Am I audible? Am I audible? Can you listen to me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I don't know what I was, how much I had given, but anyway.
Sir, sorry for the inconvenience, it got disconnected. So you are telling about 90% of the anthropological theory emerged from savage people kind of thing.
Yeah. Thereafter, this also to be remembered, that all the theories, Marvin Harris also has written in his book, Rise of Anthropological Theory, that all the theories are products of the causal explanation of similarities and differences between cultures. This is very important. Why? why there is similarity between cultures and why there is difference between the cultures. These are the two important things which have given rise to all the anthropological theories. On the backdrop of this, let us see India. In terms of variety of cultures, India is perhaps next to the continent of Africa, which has got 54 nations. India is one nation only. Africa continent is there, which has got 54 nations. And I say with confidence that in terms of variety of cultures, India will be perhaps next only to the continent of Africa. Number two, in terms of antiquity, my personal opinion, I can debate with anybody, is India is next to none. Next to none.
That's interesting.
I can argue. Yes. So where so many variety of cultures are there? Can you imagine from now, you start comparing, I mean, Northeast only if you go and come to how variety of cultures are there. Everything variety, food habit, culture, customs, and everything variety. So India is the best laboratory for anthropological researches in the world.
Exactly. So,
I
have read in one journal, the Anthropological Survey of India has counted the people groups. So 4,635 people groups in India.
Yeah. The People of India project, Kumar Suresh Singh.
That is very amazing.
So not only this, I'm telling you, not only this. First of all, variety of culture we talked. Not only social culture anthropology, every branch of anthropology. For every branch of anthropology, India is the best laboratory. Now let's talk about the biological anthropology or physical anthropology, what we call. In our time, it was called physical anthropology, not biological. In the whole of South India is the Deccan land. Deccan land is the part of the old Gondwana land. South Africa, South America, Australia, Deccan land, they were one land mass, millions and billions of years before. So when the fossils can be found in South Africa, which is also the part of Gondwana land, we have evidences of all these fossils, for the origin of man and all. We don't have any fossil because no such work have been done from South India, no such fossil as old as them. And variety of culture also gives sufficient scope, more scope for biological anthropologists also to work. If you talk about the archaeological anthropology, we are still lagging behind. Otherwise, if the proper archaeological excavations are done, particularly in South India, which happens to be the oldest landmass in the world, we can have beautiful and we can explore, a lot of scope to explore. And likewise, linguistic anthropology. In Northeast only, there are more than 290 languages and 420 dialects.
Wow.
In only Northeast, I'm telling you. Now, can you imagine how much is the scope for work in the linguistic anthropology? How much is the possibility of the work? It is not the latest landmass. Himalaya is the latest one, I understand. Himalaya, Tethys Sea was there, and it is the latest. But then take the South India, the Deccan land. That includes this Ranchi also, Chotanagpur, and up to Meghalaya. Meghalaya is also not the part of Himalaya. It is the part of the lake and land, you know. So how much explorations have been done? Nothing. So archaeological anthropology, linguistic anthropology, social culture anthropology, and physical anthropology. India is the best laboratory. I have already written in one of my articles, I remember. So in spite of all this, how much fundamental researches I'm talking about the theoretical point of view, I mean, how much fundamental researches have been done? Absolutely not. I told you in case of social culture anthropology, to which I belong, other than 4 concepts, there is none. If you allow me to add, I'll say that probably before I die, I will establish 2 concepts in Indian anthropology, which will have no impact of Western anthropology. Yes. Let me tell you, one is spiral theory of unity and diversity in India. I'll not right now explain it because it will take a long time. I'm working on it. Spiral theory of unity and diversity in India. The future generation will evaluate it. And second, it coexistentialism. Coexistentialism in Indian society and cultures.
Wow.
They are also interrelated. Yeah.
Amazing.
I announced this last time, only a few months back in Kolkata, but I didn't explain because I've been working on it. I will. And from your interview, now I can very boldly, I am saying, I was talking to my colleagues in Kolkata. To them, I said that, look, before I die, I will. And I won't, this will be evaluated by the future generation of anthropologists of the country.
This is a very good news. This is very good news for Indian anthropology, sir.
No, it has been in my mind for several years. Some of my very close colleagues know that I have been working on it. Wow. But unless I make it, right now, let me complete this book, and thereafter a number of books are, let me tell you, if you are interviewing me, up to 2026, every year my book is already in my list that these are the books have to come. One book only in 1 year. Oh. I don't believe in quantity. But then these 2 theories, I have already in my mind, I have written something also, but then I have to give it a shape, concrete shape, and then come up first in an article and then in the book. First in the Oriental Anthropologist, I publish it in detailed article. And then, of course, it will ultimately be published in a book form. Spiral theory of unity and diversity in India, and coexistentialism of Indian society and culture. Anyway, these are the things which I normally don't speak, because let me first of all come out then. Agmaslian, can you repeat your question, please?
Yes. So I'm looking for any theoretical departures for India because the development of the discipline depends on the theoretical contributions. So as you rightly mentioned, so I want to dig deeper into what is the context of Indian contribution to the growth of the discipline of anthropology on theoretical aspects. So you announced that 2 theories are about to come into existence. That's go viral. This message will go viral, sir, because everybody is desperately waiting for some new departures in anthropological thought.
Because that is the sad aspect of Indian anthropology. That is the sad aspect of Indian anthropology.
So sorry, what might be the reasons for this the stagnation or not oriented towards a theoretical thinking? Why there is no viability or feasibility or no encouragement for the upcoming scholars? What happened actually? What might be the reasons for this kind of sad and discouraging situation?
As far as viability is concerned, I told you that India is the best laboratory in the world for any branch of anthropology. So there is all possibility of doing this thing. Unfortunately, at the initial stage in India, when anthropology started teaching, some good works were done. The eminent anthropologists have been Shamacharan Dubey, B.K. Burman, Dr. Ayappan. A lot of them are there. Undoubtedly, they have done their commendable jobs. But what happened? That earlier, before independence, Indian anthropology was absolutely influenced by British social anthropology because Britishers started anthropology in India, and Oxford and Cambridge was the Makkah for Indian anthropologists. So whatever they learned there, they tried to apply here. After post-independence and after independence, this shifted to America. America became the superpower, not only in terms of military, but even in terms of academy. And all the universities in America, the craze for all you see post-independent era, all the anthropologists started, instead of going to Oxford and Cambridge, they started going to America. Professor Vidarthi borrowed from America, Chicago School of Anthropology. Don't ask me in detail. Personally, I can tell you that what is this sacred complex and what is this nature man spirit complex. I can tell you. Chicago School of Anthropology was planted here. Srinivas was a student of French Boas. Radcliffe Brown. And you can very well imagine British social anthropology. Nobody ever tried to examine the Indian situation, whether there can be any indigenous, because anthropology was a Western science, so people thought that no, whatever they do, that can be only imitated. Originality cannot be done. So that was the reason that you can, if you call it, this is a complexity before the Indian anthropologists, our seniors also, they never tried.
Oh, I understand. If that preconceived notion.
On the contrary, tell you a surprising thing, that one of the best theoretician in cultural anthropology is J.J. Honigman. You read his book, Development of Anthropological Ideas. In the very first introduction chapter, he has beautifully explained that Western anthropology owes to Greece and Rome for all the anthropological ideas. That means whatever the anthropological theory today we are teaching, we can find the glimpses of these things in the writings of the Greek and the Roman philosophers like Pythagoras, Protagoras, Aristotle, Socrates, Plato, Democritus, Xenophon. There are dozens of such names. All these structure, function, culture, personality, whatever you call, you will find some rudimentary ideas in the writings of the Greek and the Roman philosophers. That is why Honigman says that Western anthropology owes to Greece and Rome for the anthropological ideas. In the next para, what he writes.
That's a bold assertion.
Yeah. But at the same time, see, what he writes is interesting. He writes, and which I believe thoroughly believe, that one should not forget that more fertile and more ancient civilizations have existed in India and China. He writes, I'm quoting now him, not word by word, but the theme I'm quoting. He writes that if the ancient scriptures of India that is examined, there is a probability of his word, new anthropological light, under quote.
Wow. Very interesting insight.
If the ancient scriptures of India is examined properly, because we know that ancient scriptures are embedded with a lot of superstitions and mythologies and all. But if you disentangle those things, Honigman says that we can have new anthropological light. When I read this thing, it came into my mind that yes, this is one thing. Second thing I'm telling you, I cannot name anybody, but generally in Indian anthropology, they suffer from complexity. They think that no, Indian scripture and Indian this and that, that is all such thing which Western won't recognize. And they try to imitate the ideas from there. But again, you will be perhaps laughing. One of my books which I have thought to complete by then is Anthropology of the Buddha. Buddha.
Wow.
Lord Buddha. Yes, I've written an article that has been published in South Africa, Anthropology of the Buddha. And in several of my writings. See, no anthropologist in the country ever tried to look into what Buddha's message is. Sometime at a personal level, if I come to the south or if you come to the north, you talk to me, I tell you the pure message of the Buddha is as good as H2O is equal to sun to water. Buddha did not start Buddhism. It is the followers who later started Buddhism. Ism. Buddha, no. He has given a plain message. And how the interplay of the mind and body, mind and matter takes place. My line is that in the eighth volume of Oriental Anthropologist, I have a long 32 pages article about Indian anthropology in which I have written that Buddha was the first psychological anthropologist. How he has defined and how he has explained about the interplay of mind and matter, how anything comes in my mind and our mind, and how it creates the biochemical changes in our every cell, and that is exhibited in our sensations. You read in psychology, sensation, cognition, perception. These are the topics are taught in psychology. 2,500 years back, Buddha had already discovered these things. Nobody mentions about all this. It is only Claude Lévi-Strauss. I think you must have heard the name Claude Lévi-Strauss, the big name.
Founder of structuralism.
He is the first person to recognize the Buddha.
Interesting.
You read his book, last book, Triste Tropiques is the name of the book. Claude Lévi-Strauss, Triste Tropiques. Last chapter, you see what he writes. I have the book with me. I can just bring it and read out, but I'm not reading. It will take long. He writes that in spite of having spent 50 years of anthropological life and studying man, he did not understand, after all, what was the purpose of being a man. These are his lines.
Wow.
He writes He writes that until 1950, in the year 1950, he was in Bangladesh. Then it was East Pakistan. Bangladesh was not formed. In 1950, although partition was done, that was East Pakistan in Chittagong district, Chittagong district, Hill district. He writes that in 1950, one morning, he saw some Buddhist monks going to he followed them, entered. And there he writes that in the serene atmosphere of the Buddhist temple, first time he realized that there was no difference between Marxism and Buddhism. Both talked about liberation. Marxism talked about the social revolution and liberation. And Buddha talked about the individual liberation. Okay, this much I say. Further, one refer to read the book, So when I read Cloudleaf East House is a person who also recognized what we are doing in India. So we don't study these things. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure that not only the message of the Buddha, but even in the message of the Mahavir, even in the message of all the great men of India, there must be some anthropological potential. There must be some anthropological element, not potential, but element. Those elements we have to discover. And then we can really say that this is Indian anthropology. These are the concepts, the theories, the hypotheses. In Indian anthropology, out of the study of Indian people, so that will be the real Indianness in social science. That will be the real Indianness in anthropology. And that is what, with two of my concepts which I have been planning to do. Yes, ask.
That's wonderful, sir. Sir, should we stop here because this is lunchtime for you, sir? We will go for the
make it then after tomorrow. If you want.
Yeah, please. I am so interested to know more about you and as an anthropologist and your thoughts on for future progress of the anthropology. So I'm very curious to know, sir.
Yes, exactly. At 2 o'clock, I also going for lunch. But if we stop today, tomorrow I have some important works, to do.
Yeah.
So after tomorrow, any day, any time.
Or day after tomorrow.
In the night also, you can fix me, no problem. If you, no problem. Because if there's a meeting, then there are problems, and who has got. We are talking face to face, so no problem. Only spare me tomorrow.
Sure, sir. Sure. Thank you. Sure. Okay, sure. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your valuable time and beautiful thoughts and prospective theories. And we are excited.
I very much enjoyed interacting with you.
Yes,
and it was nice interaction. I also very much enjoyed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Okay.
Sir.
Okay. See you.
See you soon, sir.